I'm Adrienne Pedersen. Today on Upfront, Wisconsin Supreme Court Justice Daniel Kelly.
So I have about 6 million bosses, all of our fellow Wisconsinites. I'm answerable to every single one of them.
Why he says voters should send him back to the high court. Plus, calling them back.
These are common sense solutions that we know can save lives because they have already done so in states that have adopted them.
Governor Evers calls a special session on gun laws. Republicans say they won't pass. We look at the politics at play and the powerful link between childhood lead exposure and gun violence. What we can learn from a study involving thousands of Milwaukee residents.
Taking on the issues important to Wisconsin. This is Upfront with your host, Adrienne Pedersen.
Thank you for joining us. Wisconsin is one of a handful of states expected to decide the 2020 presidential election, and recent polling suggests it could be close here. The latest Marquette Law School poll tested 4 head-to-head matchups. It has former Vice President Joe Biden defeating President Trump by 6 points. Other hypothetical matchups are closer. The president narrowly loses to Senators Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders here, but beats Mayor Pete Buttigieg. The first statewide voting in 2020 will come in the race for Wisconsin Supreme Court. Justice Daniel Kelly, appointed in 2016, is seeking a full 10-year term. Dane County Circuit Judge Jill Karofsky and Marquette Law School Professor Ed Falone are also running. Justice Kelly joins us now here on Upfront. Thank you for your time.
My pleasure. It's great to be here.
So Governor Walker appointed you in 2016. How do you feel going into the election process now?
Feel great. You know, the last 3 years have taught me something, and it's this. It is the greatest honor of a lifetime to serve the people of Wisconsin on their Supreme Court. I've loved every moment of it. And as the campaign starts, I found I wasn't sure what to expect of a campaign. And what I found is it is a delight. So far, we've been going all over the state of Wisconsin talking about the role of the judiciary and what people want in their justices. And it has been wonderful talking with them about their state, about the direction of their communities, and the direction of the courts.
Ed Falone, a Marquette Law School professor who's also running, said on this show, Justice Daniel Kelly's resume is thin on experience, thick on partisan political activity. And I wanted to give you a chance to respond to that.
Sure, thank you. I think that's an interesting approach by Mr. Falone. To my knowledge, Mr. Falone has never represented a client in a Wisconsin court. He's certainly never been on the bench. I don't think he's ever argued a case in the Wisconsin Supreme Court.
He said he thinks that's a good thing to have different experience.
Well, different experience might be good, but it's certainly not relevant experience to the job. So I've spent my career in commercial litigation. I've represented clients in Milwaukee, Madison, all over the state, and all over the country. I've argued several cases before the Wisconsin Supreme Court before I came to the court, and of course I've been on the court now for the last 3 years. So I think for him to take the approach that I lack experience is curious.
And I thought it was interesting. I read that you said there's a difference between being political and being partisan. What did you mean by that?
Yeah, so the office, simply by nature of being an elective office, there's some politics in that. You have to go out and you have to get votes. But the partisan nature is no part of the role of the judiciary. So our job is simply to apply the law as it exists. Not as we might wish it to be, but as it actually exists. And our personal preferences don't come anywhere near that job. So when we walk into the courtroom, when we put on the black robe, we put aside all of our personal preferences. At least that's what we're supposed to do. So, I know my opponents have been talking about the issues they would champion on the courts, the laws that they like, the laws that they don't like. I'm deeply concerned about that because that simply has nothing to do with the role of the court. We put all of that aside and we just take the law as it comes. As the people of Wisconsin have asked it to be created, they say to us, please just apply it and be done. And that's it. That's the full role of the court.
And a lot of voters do talk about that, as well as the candidates. So right now, as you know, the court is 5-2 conservatives. And over the last few years, including in this election, candidates keep saying we want this to be fair, we want it to be balanced, we want it to be impartial. which might say something about the way people see the court now as not being fair. And you're a current justice, so what do you think?
Yeah. So what I can tell you is what I've heard is I've gone around the state of Wisconsin and I've talked to people all over this great state. And what they tell me is they want jurists who understand two things. One, that their job really is just to apply the law, to be faithful to the Constitution. Because what they tell me is, look, we maintain the Constitution. We want to change it, we'll change it. We don't want you doing that. And they say, you know, we have legislators to make our laws. We don't want you to make the laws. We don't want you to decide which laws you like and which ones you don't. So just do that. That's what they expect. And then they expect that we understand the difference between bosses and servants, right? So I have about 6 million bosses, all of our fellow Wisconsinites. I'm answerable to every single one of them for the way that I perform the responsibilities that they've asked me to do.
It's tough to get that name recognition sometimes when it comes to a Supreme Court race, and your general election is on the same day as the Wisconsin presidential primary.
It is.
Which is a really big race. How do you kind of fight for attention for voters?
So part of that is the way that we've been approaching this campaign. We started about 5 months ago going around and talking with the good folks of Wisconsin about the court and about the race. And I think this is really just about talking to the grassroots, talking to the people of Wisconsin about what they want. So I'm sure advertising is going to be expensive. There's going to be a lot of noise for us to break through. But there's a really easy way to get around that, and that's talking one-on-one, and then having those people talk one-on-one. And the message gets out that way, I think, in a way that you don't have to worry about how much noise might be on the airwaves during that election. You're right, because there's probably going to be several Democratic presidential candidates on the air that will be campaigning. And that's going to take up some room that we won't be able to use, but we have other avenues by which to bring our message all over the state of Wisconsin.
Do you think how voters feel about the presidential candidates, whether that is President Trump or a Democrat, will affect your election at all?
I really don't think so. As I've been talking to folks of all political persuasions, for the vast majority of them, all they want is a jurist who's going to respect the law and respect the parameters of the Constitution. So if they're Democrats or Republicans, liberals or conservatives, what they want out of their court is the same thing. Be respectful of the Constitution. Be respectful of the people of Wisconsin and what they've asked their court to do and how they've asked it to function. Just apply the law.
Justice Daniel Kelly, thank you.
Thank you so much.
My interview with Justice Kelly continues now on our website, where we're talking about his ties to the Federalist Society and what it means to be a conservative jurist. That's on the Upfront section of WISN.com. Next, the governor versus Republican lawmakers on gun legislation, the risks for both in a showdown over a special session. And later, the startling link between childhood lead exposure and gun violence.
Upfront, brought to you by WPS Health Insurance.